Welcome now one of those who will be called upon to vote if they have the vote today. He is Republican Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee. So thank you very much for joining us, Senator. Appreciate it.
It's wonderful to be here with you today. Thank you.
Okay, so play this out for us. Let's assume Chuck Schumer follows through on his promise. They're going to have a vote today. They've had votes in the past. It came out a certain way. Is there any reason to believe it's going to come out different today?
I have no reason to believe it's going to be a bit different. Mitch McConnell's been clear since July where this needs to go. There's a process in place called reconciliation. They've misused reconciliation. They did it back in March to push through $1.9 trillion of spending that they called pandemic relief spending, but mostly had nothing to do with the pandemic. They did that without a single Republican vote. They're talking about, again, using that same process to spend trillions more in this so-called, reshaping of America, this transformative policy that Bernie Sanders has authored. That's what the process is being misused for. But actually, reconciliation was designed for budgetary processes, and this is one of the things that reconciliation can and will have to be used to address.
So a lot of America is getting much more familiar with reconciliation, the process, and vote-a-ramas and things like that. But one of the things that we've seen in the past is you can do it, but it takes some time. It's cumbersome. It's not that easy, and we're kind of running out of time, at least according to the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen. We've got till October 18. Do we have time to do reconciliation?
We've had time since July. Chuck Schumer's known this for a long time. Again, they're, I think, trying to create yet another crisis. This administration and our colleagues on the Democrat side of the aisle love to manage from crisis to crisis to crisis. The Biden administration, unfortunately, has been creating more crises than I could have ever imagined. But they're using this as perhaps an excuse to do away with the filibuster. I've heard this sort of talk. I think that would be extraordinarily detrimental to the United States Senate. But again, they're precipitating a crisis by letting this delay. They should not be doing this.
But once again, do you think they have time? If they want to do reconciliation right now, do they have time to get it done before October 18th?
Yes, I think they do.
Let's turn to a different subject. You're on the Banking Committee, among other responsibilities in the Senate. We have the question of the personnel on the Federal Reserve, not just the chair, Jay Powell, whether he gets renewed or not, but we've got two vice chairs who are up as well. And now we have some vacancies because of some questions raised about some of the trading activities. First of all, on Chair Powell, do you support his being re-elected as chair?
I think Chair Powell has done a good job of navigating a very challenging environment. If you think about it, the Democrats have made it so difficult for him to meet both of the mandates. The full employment mandate is almost impossible when the Democrats, persist in subsidizing unemployment. And when you think about inflation, as I mentioned, they've dumped $1.9 trillion into our economy back in March. They're talking about several trillion more. This is not a transitory thing. The inflation that we've seen has been precipitated by bad policy decisions. Think about what's happened to gas prices in America here. In January, Biden basically collapsed the economy, the energy economy in America by, killing the Keystone XL pipeline, forbidding drilling on public lands. And what we've seen is gas prices go up 40, 50%. Every good that people have to purchase has to be transported. This is inherently inflationary, and it's not transitory. Look at real estate prices. In my home state of Tennessee, real estate prices are up 20% over last year. That rolls right into rents. That's long-term inflationary. So we have very serious inflation concerns in the economy right now.
Are you concerned, or maybe I should say, how concerned are you about some of these reports about various activities with their personal financial investments of some of the Fed governors? Should that be looked into by the Senate Banking Committee?
I think that Chair Powell is actually going to be overseeing that type of review. That's what the Inspector General is designed to do. And my expectation is that the IG will take a hard look at what's taken place. I don't see this as something systemic. These rules have been in place for a long time. We've had, Fed chair after Fed chair, and we've had governors. The way this is managed is actually at a local level. So each of these regional Fed chairs has got a board to work with, and there's a structure in place to address it. So I expect that it will be addressed, and it should be addressed, very soon.
Here in Washington, we're spending a lot of time on debt ceilings and budgets and infrastructure, which we should. It's very important things. There are other things going on in the world, including China really pushing, if I can put it that way, on Taiwan.
Yes.
You have a fair amount of experience over in that part of the world, over in Asia. Give us your take on what's going on there.
I served as U.S. Ambassador to Japan just before I joined the United States Senate. And the situation in the South China Sea has been getting increasingly tense. China has built up now the largest navy in the world in terms of number. They don't have the capability that the United States does, but they have a very concentrated posture in the Indo-Pacific region. If you look at what's happened with Afghanistan, the collapse of Afghanistan, I think, emboldens China to think that they can push America even further. And what we've seen is increased frequency of, invading Taiwan airspace. They've been very aggressive in the region, and I think, Taiwan has every reason to be quite concerned right
So
now.
what can the United States, should the United States do at this point? We did announce that that partnership, that alliance with Australia and the United Kingdom on a nuclear-powered
Yes.
submarine, which was taken as something of a, forgive the expression, shot across the bow of China.
I think we need to continue to do that. I was supportive of that move. I know that France was very upset about it. I think they overreacted. There might have been a different way to handle that diplomatically. But anything that we do to increase our allies' strength in that region, to increase our presence in the region, I think is positive, and it sends a very strong message to China.
Finally, let me just wrap up going back to Tennessee. You mentioned you're from Tennessee.
Sure.
When you talk to your constituents back there, are they concerned about the possibility of not getting infrastructure done? Do your constituents want infrastructure?
What my constituents don't want is more debt on the backs of their children and grandchildren. And when they found out that this infrastructure bill wasn't paid for as advertised, and that frankly, much of it was not hard infrastructure as it had been advertised, people were quite upset. They were happy with the fact that I held that bill up. I stopped it for 5 days. It made me not very popular in the United States Senate, but it was something that had to happen so the American public could actually find out what was in this 2,700-page bill. And as people begin to find out about it, we saw several senators move their vote over with me. I think the American public now sees what it is, and I think there's a great deal of concern not only about the inflation that it's going to create, the debt that it's going to put on our children, but the fact that it's opening the door for this pathway to socialism that this next larger bill that they're talking about is going to present for America.
Senator, really great to have your thoughts
Great
today.
to be with
Appreciate your being here. That's Senator Bill Hagerty, Republican of Tennessee.